Hello, everybody. Welcome to Brutally Honest Talk Radio. This is Elmo, the conservative, and we got a good episode put together for you today. We try to talk about the things and say the things that other people don't, or at least have a different outlook, a different aspect to it. And as you can see in the studio with me is Shana, a returning guest who is going to put her commentary and her insight into this as well. Hello, Shana. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. How are you?
Good. I'm sweating in this hoodie because it was so cold, and also excited about the show and getting these things out there. So there was an election this week, all over the country. Congress is closed, but this is what we're going to talk about is for Virginia. So there was a contest between, I'm going to put their picture up on the screen, Gail Spanberger and Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl Sears. And the main thing I wanted to mention about them is the fact that the NAACP, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, they supported Spanberger and got behind her. She is white and Earl Sears is black. And I really don't care. It's about how somebody's going to do the job once they get in there. But certain groups created this. Boy, I don't know if you hear that, but certain people made color a thing. And, advancement for colored people, which today is black people, it should be African American. And just that they got behind her instead of Sears, a black woman. So, tell me why you think they did that, and then I'll share my opinion on it.
Well, when I first read that the NAACP got behind Spanberger instead of Sears, my first thought was I thought that the NAACP stood for the National Association and the Advancement of Colored People. So when I heard that they endorsed the white liberal, kind of surprising when your organization is titled or the purpose of your organization is to advance people of color. So a little flummoxing. So I guess I get it. I don't know.
Yeah, well, this is what it is the allegiance. There's different levels and priorities, and it's for NAACP and many black voters is Democrat first, and then within that, then we'll try to lift up or elevate black people, put them in the positions. But that's like a criteria is for them to have the donkey on their chest, on their cap, the D next to their name. Like that's number one. And here's the thing about judge people by the content of their character and not the color of their skin is color of skin is just one example. That's something exterior, but also not the titles, not the group that they belong to, not their affiliation, but their character, how they do on the inside. And you may say that a party or group is not one person, but it's made up of many different people, many different individuals. And there could be 100 people in an organization, and if 2 or 3 of them are doing a bad job or they're corrupt, that kind of puts a black cloud over the whole group, So I just, to me, the NAACP is a bunch of empty suits. And it used to be that I didn't have to go searching and digging to find out who the leader of the group was, who the head of it. I remember when it was Julian Bond. I remember before him, it was Kwame and Fuzme. I may not be saying his name right. Kwame and Fume. Now, I'm sorry if I messed that up. And then most recently, they're in the news. The only face that I saw was Rachel Dolezal, the woman who was white and fooled the NAACP empty suits into thinking that she was black when she was standing right in front of them and they couldn't tell that she was a white woman with a tan.
Rachel Dawes, yeah.
Yeah, how is her name spelled? But yeah,
Something like that.
yeah. And so, she had to resign, even though technically she could have done some things that were good, or could have done things that people could argue were in favor of African Americans. But it's a form of fraud, I suppose. So I understand. You know, this has happened at Atlanta University, here where I live, with Morehouse and Spelman, where some people who were not black or not mostly African American were able to pass for black or disguise themselves or got into the school because it's supposed to be for black people. I guess born out of a time when there wasn't enough opportunity, for when just working hard wasn't enough to get you into a college, or because of discrimination. And so that's still going on today. That's why we have all black colleges but don't have all white colleges. It's kind of where we are on that. So, like I said, I hadn't been familiar with NAACP and what they've done in years. We all know nobody heard nothing during 2020 when George Floyd got killed, and with with the
I think before last week, I hadn't even heard of the NAACP in like decades.
yeah, I'm not surprised. So, I mean, when Joe Biden was running for president, they had this commercial where that was one of the things they said. I was endorsed by the NAACP. Like, we're supposed to hear that and then just start running to the polls. Where it's like, what does that even mean? We know that they have a relationship with them, and it's just washing each other. One moment. All right, so this is about the election that just happened. Just giving people a little update or background on it. Virginia voters elected Abigail Spanberger governor on Tuesday, according to the Associated Press, delivering a potent repudiation of President Trump after a campaign that was laser focused on attacking his policies. Ms. Spanberger, a moderate Democrat who served 3 terms in Congress, defeated Winsome, a socially conservative Republican who pledged her allegiance to Trump. And this is the New York Times, and so there's a lot of opinion weaved into this story. With I just wanted to give people the facts about what happened, who they are, and a little background. All right, and so did some searching on NAACP, and just a couple things that I found, because I want to be fair. And when I heard that, one of the things that I thought is that NAACP is Democrats have them in their pockets, that they're paying them or giving them donations or whatever. So I didn't actually find that. I'll just read what I did find since I searched on it. Says Wells Fargo is the single largest known financial contributor, a $50 million in 2023. I'm interested in how that money is allocated. What is that going to? How many members are there in NAACP? What are they? 100 people? And then they list a few others that have also donated, which I think is a form of virtue signaling. And some of these companies, here you go: Airbnb, Amazon, Bad Robot, the the production studio, the film studio, Bank of America, Disney, Google, Lyft, Netflix, Nike, Verizon. We know that there's a warm and fuzzy feeling that they want to give people or to prove that they're down, just like Target did with Black Lives Matter, until Targets started getting looted and vandalized. Then they pulled out, because at the end of the day, for a business, it's all about business. So,
When they were
I found
being
out that one thing, there's nothing that is on the surface that they're receiving money from the Democrat Party. The other thing that I found, just trying to find out what some of their recent accomplishments were, in years. So I'd said, let's go back to 2018, couple years before the pandemic and all that madness. So what they say is voter mobilization leading to the election of more Black leaders, and then advocacy for policy changes, including lobbying for legislation and promoting ban the box. So again, this is all kind of tied and rooted in identity politics, right? So they elected diverse leaders, again, which is identity instead of what they did. So I'll just read some of this. NAACP voter mobilization efforts have contributed to the election of historic leaders such as Sherelle Parker, the first Black female mayor of Philadelphia, and Gabe Amo, first Black member of Congress from Rhode Island. They promoted Ban the Box. Organization has championed Ban the Box, which removed conviction history questions from initial job applications, and has reported that 2018 study found these policies can increase the odds of getting a public sector job for those with criminal records. So those are a couple of things that they've worked. But let me hear if you have a comment about, of either of those before I speak on this ban the box thing.
I don't understand why, do Black people I guess they feel like their voting rights are being taken away. It's like every organization, the initiative is voting rights, equity. When you go to the polls, is there really an issue with voting amongst Black people? I mean, that's probably a different subject, but the NAACP, back to your point, just hasn't been really relevant until last week when a Black woman was running for governor. But she didn't have a D next to her name, so
Yeah. And this is something that I figured out this year, because I've been hearing Black Democrats complain for years how the Republicans don't have a lot of Black people that they hire, that they put in important positions, or that hold office, or that they appoint to this and that. So this is what I figured out through some analysis, is Black people and the Democrat Party have shamed Black people, so that we have to make a choice whether we want to stay Black, or if we want to go with a candidate or work in an organization that we believe is doing something, people that we support. Maybe, because we're all Americans, everybody who is a citizen in this big old diverse country, maybe some Black people look at us as Americans, our nationality, the place where we were born and raised. And there are things that are just good for America or bad for America that have nothing to do with race. So that's been a decision, that's been a fork in the road for a lot of Black folks, because I was telling somebody a couple of weeks ago that there was a poll where they found out that they asked people, which do you have a bigger fear of, a fear of death or a fear of being kicked out of the tribe? And most people polled said being kicked out of the tribe.
yeah, it's tribalism. That's why they vote Democrat.
And most people are scared of death, or, being in a car crash or getting shot, anything where they would lose their lives and be taken away from their loved ones or their families. And so this is saying that if they had a choice, they would pick death over being kicked
Losing
out
their
of the
black card.
circle. So with that in mind, many people they just decide like that this is very important to them. But you have to be a person of principle, and you have to know what you believe. What do you believe? If the world changes tomorrow and all your friends flip on their values, are you rooted? And this is how someone would really know what they believe, is they know why they believe it, and they can tell you why. And it's not because of a quote or what they heard someone else say, but being on some level a student of history, or giving some kind of an original idea or thought backing up why they believe that. Because a lot is historical. I mean, that's what conservative is. Conservatism is traditional values, staying with what we have. But then there are new ideas that come along with every generation also. Putting
Yeah.
out a good idea, that's worth trying or that may be beneficial. But go ahead.
Well, I feel with a lot of black progressives, especially a lot of them that are Christian, you're black first, then you're a Democrat, and then you're a Christian last.
Yeah. Yeah, or I would say a Democrat first, and then
And
black,
then
because just looking at the way people vote, because people they don't really say what they mean a lot of times,
hmm
or that they say, black people are my people. When somebody says black people are my people, it's like, you really don't believe all black people are your people. You mean the ones that you like.
yeah, it's cliche-ish. And the thing is, most black people are innately conservative. They just don't vote that way.
Yes. Then all the I mean, conservative is short for Christian conservative. Just for the Christians, you know. Not saying that I don't try to push or pressure or sell that. But if someone is going to call themselves a Christian, look at what you believe and who is running for a particular office, and how that's going to line up with the Bible, not what's happening in someone's personal life. I mean, it's important how you treat people and how you conduct your business. But I mean, policies that are going to affect the multitude of the city, the state, the country, or whatever. And look at that.
Unfortunately, um, the majority of black people, not all, but a lot of them, they vote with their emotions, not understanding policy, too intellectually lazy to read on it, to read about it, to research. And frankly, I don't think a lot of them care about policy. I just think it's kind of like instilled in their minds that Republicans are like rich white men that hate black people.
And the Democrats let black people know that they don't believe that we care about policy or any issues, because a couple months before the election, Obama went around targeting black people. They told him to do this. This is part of the deal. You endorse Biden, which he didn't want to do. In exchange for, we'll give you a platform. Because every time you see somebody speaking at a podium with microphones and cameras, and there's a crowd there and a big sign behind them, somebody has to pay for that and set it up. So they'll support you. Democrats will support you as long as what you say is lining up with them. And this is why Tulsi Gabbard, Bernie Sanders, and Robert Kennedy Jr. left the party, because these are idealistic people, and you can't tell them what to do. They actually have ideas. They're not puppets. So
And the
Obama went around and, in front of a group of black people, said, "Come on, man, you know that our women have always had our back. So now Kamala is one of our women who's half Indian.
And
But
that's,
Obama, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead. What are
I
you gonna
mean,
say?
like, no, I'm sorry. But isn't it crazy how, like, a year ago, Obama berated black men for not supporting the black woman? And then a year later, he throws his support against a black woman in favor
Right.
of a white woman. Like, the hypocrisy is astounding.
Exactly. But then it's also like it's like condescending to speak to a group of people, and because of their race you don't bring up climate, abortion, the economy, foreign policy, none of that. No, the niggers don't care about that. We're not going to talk about that. All they care about is skin color. That's it. So that's all I'm gonna. I mean, somebody put this message in his head and sent it there, because the way that they campaign is depending on the group that they're speaking to. They divide and conquer, right? So let's divide everybody into groups, and then they think every group, every race wants something different. So we need to figure out what they want and then try to give it to them, instead of speaking to things that affect everyone. And this is why a lot of the Democrats, when they're campaigning, their accent will change depending on what region of the country they're in.
Or
I mean,
who they're talking to, right?
I need to assimilate and I need to talk like you for you to identify with me. I need to show you that I'm racially down with your group, instead of just speaking, whatever the issue is or the policy is,
Exhibit
and
A,
letting people
Jasmine
connect with
Crockett.
that. Hmm?
Exhibit A, Jasmine Crockett.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. Hypocrisy, because she called. Isn't Governor Abbott of Texas the one that's in the wheelchair?
Yes.
And she called him Hot Wheels.
Hmm.
It's okay. It's like it's like a get out of jail free card from Monopoly or something. Here, you take this. You can get away with this. It's all right. We might even applaud or laugh when you say these things. But then you know nobody can say anything about you, because then we're gonna play the race card, and it's like that's the arena of politics. It's like if I say that I want to be a football player, but I don't ever want to get hit, and if I do get hit, I'm gonna say that you hit me on the field because of my race. You know how stupid that is. But yeah, going back to with NAACP and the voting thing, they put a myth out there that it was hard for black people to vote. There's so many different ways to vote now. 5 or 6 different ways, with the mail-in ballots, the absentee ballots, and people can vote like a month in advance or something. And
We're still
actually,
talking about, yeah.
it's easier for black people and everyone to vote today than it was for white men in Birmingham, Alabama in 1964, voting Jim Crow. They had to stand in a long line in the sun. That was the only way you could do it. But when you have more, multiple different ways that people can vote, the more you increase the chance for voter fraud, and then it should be a cutoff. And I don't want to get off subject, but just saying with the voting, there should be a cutoff, or if somebody's going to vote by mail, it needs to be no later, postmarked like 3 weeks before election day, because we know that the mail system getting closer to election is going to be crazy. So it's like, what are you doing? And I was debating this guy who was saying that I don't know, some district or some part of the country where the Republicans were trying to make it so that the polls were closed on Sunday, because this is traditionally a day when black people vote, because we would come out of church and then get on the church bus and 40 people would ride down to the polls. All right. If you can't get out there on a Tuesday, and for the little old ladies or the people that are handicapped or whatever, if people don't have children, grandchildren, brothers, sisters, nieces, nephews, no friends, and nobody from their church is willing to come and pick them up to take them to the polls, then we got bigger problems than voting. We really got problems. So again, that's just making that political. So there is suppression. They try to take away the IDs for you to prove who you are. The
That's
same
the
people.
Democrats, that's their juggernauts that they used. Voting, racism, if they continue to throw those juggernauts at them, it keeps them emotional. Black people, it keeps
Right.
them emotional. And then
Well,
that's
you
why.
like people who don't even eat eggplant or Brussels sprouts. If you tell them somebody tried to take away your Brussels sprouts, we'll be in an uproar and making picket signs. We'll be running down to the produce section. Don't you mess with my Brussels sprouts? I don't eat them anyway. But so you try to make somebody believe that someone's trying to infringe on your rights. The thing about health care and for people to be able to have insurance to go to the doctor as they pushed for universal health care. You have a God-given right, because that's the 11th commandment. Thou shalt have Blue Cross. It's right there, chiseled in stone. It's always been that way. Somehow God has taken care of his people through the centuries. But yeah, again, making that political. But if they really cared about you, instead of them saying you need to fight so that you can have health insurance, how about telling people some things they can do to be healthy, their diet and how they can live? Talk about that, because I don't want to have to use my insurance, because I don't want to have to go to the doctor. I want to stay in good health. So let's have some talk about that, instead of trying to say, that the Obamacare bill, 750 pages, is real sus. So when you got your health insurance, they had you sign some paperwork. Might have been 20, maybe 25 pages that you had to read through. But over 700 pages, what is in that thing? And what are you trying to get me to commit to? This thing that I have to sign before I get involved in it. So yeah, and then so ban the box. I'm just going to this real quick. I want to make sure that I say it correctly, how they're describing it. So yeah, okay. They promoted ban the box, which is someone with a criminal record. They believe that there's so many black criminals that is targeting black people to have that on. So everybody deserves a second chance. Understand, companies and businesses know that if someone has a criminal record, they're more likely of committing a crime. And when a company hires you into their building, you're coming into their family. People want to feel safe. They want to know that somebody isn't going to snap, and it's not just being violent, but stealing. I want to know, if I have a business, if I'm hiring somebody and they have a criminal record, I want to know. I want to know what the crime was and how many years did you do or whatever. And so we have to take that away. Let's stop questioning people, instead of real leadership saying, let's make a vow that we're not going to break the law. There's one thing we can learn from the black Muslims. They take care of each other. They kind of got their own network. They're doing very well.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never seen a black Muslim who was homeless or on welfare, and they're not getting assistance from the government. And
Mm-hmm.
so they're not beholden to the Democrats or anyone. That's why they say whatever they want to say, because they know that there's not a dependency that's created.
Yeah.
So it just
Plus a lot of them are conservative. A lot of Muslims.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really what that is. It's kind of ironic, but I want people to vote. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the race is of the person. It's just the NAACP, that they're predicated on being a black organization. How throwback and being trapped in time is to still have the name of your company have the phrase colored people in it. And it would seem to make sense to me to update that and call it National Association for the Advancement of African American, or the NAAAP. But if they do that, they'll mess with their money because the brand is those letters, that set of letters. So they would rather leave it the way it is than to, I mean, Twitter changed to X and they got more followers and more people connected than ever. So, it's all right. It's all right to update things. But
Yeah,
yeah, I can't even, we don't see their faces. And I mentioned this before, and everybody that I've talked to was not aware of it. That on not this year, but Memorial Day weekend of last year, 187 black people shot in Chicago in a 3-day weekend. And this was not on the national news because all of the people shot were black. For it to be an epidemic, sorry to say it, 10, 15, or 20 of those 187 people would have had to be white. And then people would be pushing for the National Guard to go in there. So that was last year. And then within the last month, there was one day where 54 people got shot in one city. And this is so bad that people that are from my hometown, Detroit, we look at that and go, damn. I mean, we seen 6, 7 shot in one day, but 54, even though the population is twice as much, that's really out of control. And then Trump tried to offer for National Guard to come in because obviously the police are overwhelmed. So the mayor and the city government who's drowning and needs help, they have this hand extended to them, but because they don't like the hand of the person, go, yeah, we need help, but we don't want to take help from you. We'll just drown. That's fine. And all the people that I'm representing and that don't interface with you. So I mean, anyway, me being the student of history that I am, I know and understand that tribalism, and when you let anybody into the tribe, or everybody, the culture, the cult of culture is we have to do what everybody else is doing and not question it. And that's how civilizations are destroyed, by doing stuff like that, because you have to evolve to figure out what is the best thing to do, and forget allegiances.
but why are
What is the best thing for the people?
we the only group of people that have to pledge our allegiance to a party? No other group. No other
Right,
group.
because the Democrats, they engaged in mass hypnosis,
Mhm.
and they convinced most of us that they love us and care about us.
It's mass hypnosis that turns into mass psychosis with black people,
Yeah.
with us.
Right. And they say that crazy people don't know that they're crazy, but there are many folks who they're caught in a pattern of doing things a certain way. They don't think about or see what they're doing, or realize the implications of what they're doing.
Because our minds, we're so closed minded. We need to be, I think when we're closed minded, we miss out on a lot of things.
Been away for 1 minute.
Yeah, I mean, back to the NAACP. In my view, I believe it's a communist Marxist boule organization controlled by the Jews. Not sure if I'm supposed to say that. Fortunately, that's what it is. And you want to believe that I think there are Black Americans waking up. I think they're starting to wake up. But still so many of us that are lost, and we can't overthrow that herd mentality due to tribalism.
Yeah. Yeah, but a lot of people are waking up, and it was very interesting to me that this was like around the time of the inauguration, right? Like mid or late January. They said, yeah, I guess it was an approval rating, even though he hadn't officially taken office, or was close to the time that he did, and it was something like 54% of or 53% of blacks approved of Trump and his performance. 54% of Hispanics, 55 of whites, which is again, I don't know if this was Gallup or whatever, was supposed to be a national poll. So for the number of blacks to support anybody on a Republican ticket, and that percentage is over 40, is like, it's been that way in over 100 years. So whatever, I mean, think about his performance and what he's doing. It's like, don't let anybody tell you that because someone is rich. All right, because Mike Bloomberg ran for president. He's a billionaire and he's a Democrat. If they thought that he could have won, he would have got the nomination. And they would have been telling you that he's the good billionaire, tried and true. He knows what is right for you.
And he has a D next to his name.
Right, right. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's hypocrisy. Talking about rich need to pay their fair share, which most people don't know. Most people don't know that the rich pay a higher percentage of taxes than everyone else.
Right.
I get all of my federal taxes back. They don't. If they're over, I think it's $85,000 a year. They're paying the majority of it. But we're more concerned because of wealth envy, actually more concerned with that and following and believing that propaganda, instead of saying, what about all the illegal immigrants that are coming into the country? They ain't paying no taxes.
And
They ain't paying no taxes. These rich
and
people,
they're getting debit cards and rent paid for, and
man. Yeah,
hotel
you know about the thing that that happened with the Roosevelt Hotel in New York. Was that last year?
I think I'm a little familiar with that. Last
So
year
like,
before, yeah.
yeah, maybe it may have been last year or 23, but there's a big hotel in Manhattan. It's actually the same hotel in the movie Made in Manhattan with Jennifer Lopez, where they filmed that movie. And so Eric Adams, the mayor of New York, and with his approval from on high, and the support of the other Democrats, they commandeered that hotel and kicked everybody out so that they could put illegal immigrants in there that migrated. I don't know, somehow they made their way all the way up to New York so that they would have a place to stay. I mean, people that paid to stay in a hotel that traveled from out of town had to leave. And then the irony of the fact that at the same time this was going on, there's homeless Black Americans sleeping on the sidewalk right outside the hotel.
Yeah, they were using schools as that too. Schools, hotels, and other cities. I think Chicago is one of them.
And that's just another way of harvesting votes.
Yeah.
And trying to create this thing where it's a two-part thing. First, we gotta get you here and take care of you. Secondly, we got to make it so no one can ask you for your ID. It's so strange. I go to vote, but I can't show you anything with my name, my picture, or my address on it, which means that I could actually vote in 6 different cities and nobody would know because there's no accountability. I mean, do a fingerprint or something. The same people that would tell you that they are afraid of voter fraud. Create such a thing where there can be voter fraud.
That's why I feel like the open borders, they are replacing Black people.
Well, there are more Hispanics in America than Blacks.
Yeah, so they're slowly becoming an underclass.
Yeah, and then I want to make sure I mention about Dick Cheney. He died this week. This was just in the last couple of days, and we're in the first week of November. This is the 6th. I think it was like the 4th or something that he died. And just to acknowledge him, I haven't seen any attention really on news sources. It is very strange.
I
But
haven't
84
seen.
years old. Yeah, he was part owner of Halliburton. the company that was making arms and missiles,
That
for
company made billions going to war.
oh, oh yeah, yeah. Tony Stark. Remember the first Iron Man? Stark
Mhm.
Industries had his name right on the side of the missile,
So that's
and
why
then
I'm
he go ahead.
no, that's why I say him passing Dick Cheney. Kind of feel like he was a war.
Yeah, he may have been just to acknowledge as
Hmm.
vice
Yeah,
president.
right.
I mean, there's kind of a thing with the Kennedys where they're like royalty, where when Ted Kennedy died, he got like the Air Force flying overhead, and he got this big funeral where national TV coverage. And I don't think he was in the military. I don't know, but he was a senator, and this was like the Jimmy Carter funeral that was at the beginning of the year. I just think that it should be acknowledged. It's a stressful job. He was a vice president when 9/11 happened. It's hard. I don't know any of these people personally. It's just somebody who held office for our country, and just acknowledging them. And when someone has that day, I mean, Jimmy Carter was a good man, though he was a bad president, kind of made up for his debacle and his clunky decisions as president. But however much I disagree with his politics, somebody who served in that office and they passed away. So just mentioning that. So we're about to wrap it up. There's something else you wanted to mention? Any last thoughts that's on your mind that you wanna speak about?
Reflecting on the election, especially in states like Virginia and my state, my home state of New Jersey. Um, Not really surprised by the results.
What about Mamdani in New York? Did you think he was gonna get elected?
I
And
did, like,
how dangerous do
especially,
you think
yeah,
that could be?
yeah, because that whole generation, there's a lot of them that are renters. You know what I mean? So it's like socialism and free rent. Yeah, sign me up. I got my popcorn ready.
Man, the memes that I saw today about Mamdani, I mean, cartoonish. Like there was a Trojan horse going down Fifth Avenue, and the front door came down, and you see all these all these Muslims that are dressed like Bin Laden. Like we
Yeah,
finally made it,
yeah. I even
man.
posted one on Facebook. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I shared a couple as well. But here's the thing: if someone gets the majority of a vote, especially, I mean, when I talk about electoral, it's just a mayor in a state. If someone gets the majority of the vote, let them be in there. We got to keep term limits in place in case things do go sideways. That someone can be voted out in case they're not impeached or not forced to resign if they really do some crazy stuff. But when things happen like this, and a socialist or a communist gets elected, let that city be a sandbox. Let's test it out and understand that whatever happens there, someone who has the same policies that was president or on a national level, you're going to get the same thing, just on a bigger scale. So we have to pay attention to this stuff and see what happens. So let's see what he does. But I'm glad that we're just talking about a small area where the blast can be contained. And then I can just see from a distance down here in Georgia and say, okay, I can decide either way. I want some of that, or I don't want what happened with him to come my way. But we have to pay attention. And yeah, I want to save some for another episode. And I'm thinking about mainly like Kamala Harris and Biden. But I want people to find out what somebody did, what their background was before they started running. And most of the people that I talked to, they couldn't tell me anything about those two. before they started running for president, which is kind of dangerous that they would vote for them. So just see what somebody's doing, especially if they're an older person. They're going to be set in their ways with their values or what they believe. They're not going to change their trajectory after the age of 60. Okay, so that's pretty much letting you know how they feel about stuff and what they believe is their background. We have to look at that.
And our governor elect endorsed Mondami.
Really, you think that helped him? A lot of people paid attention to that.
I neither here or there. I think I don't. Did a lot of people vote? About 70% of those votes came from women. I don't.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't. I
Yeah,
don't.
the
Maybe
men
because, like,
didn't
again,
vote in that election.
either they didn't vote, or maybe he's young and he free, free, free.
But a lot of black people who traditionally voted Democrat told me that they were not going to vote at all in the presidential election because they didn't want to vote for Kamala. After they heard that commercial where Charlemagne the God was
Mhm.
talking about her, wanting to use money for criminals that have transgender surgeries in prison, and it's like he said it. It's not Trump saying it or nobody else. This, it's like hold up a mirror. It's like you got a black man, the same black man that Biden was talking to when he said, if you don't vote, you gotta think about who to vote for. You ain't black.
You ain't
So
black.
that kind of authenticated that. So yeah, I think that and some other things made people not wanna vote at all. But I respect that.
Hmm.
This what's one of the great things about the country is you don't have to vote and nobody's gonna come knocking on your door.
You have that right to not
Yeah.
vote. Like, that's your right.
Right. If you're really not feeling either candidate, that's that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, but people need to I don't know. It's just like with your friends, when we were kids and there was peer pressure and there's this thing to be accepted. And sometimes people try to make people do stuff that they don't want to do just so that they can be accepted or be popular. But that's because we're kids and it's an immature thing. And we're supposed to grow out of that thirst or hunger when we know something is not right. I mean, booths are private and they're
Hmm.
private for a reason. So no
And
one
voting
really
used to
really
be that
knows.
way. The whole
Say
act.
again.
And
Oh.
voting used to be that way, like the whole act. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you didn't tell who you were voting for, but the culture
Right.
that culture has just really changed. It's been
Right.
rough.
Yeah. Well, Shana, thank you for being on the show. And everybody, I didn't mention it at the beginning, but it's never too late to subscribe and click the notification bell. And also different places that you can catch us, whatever your favorite platform is on your phone. If you're walking, riding the train, whatever, you can go to Amazon, iTunes, Spotify and hear this. And Libsyn is a great thing to subscribe to. When you get on there, you can hear it on Libsyn, or they are connected to all those platforms that I just mentioned, and they distribute out. So, any comment that you have about this or anything you want to share, please put it in the comments. If you want to send a message to us, to either me or Shayna or Inger, you can send it to brutehonestradio@gmail.com. And if it is directed to Shayna, I'll make sure that she gets it. So that's it. Hey, everybody, take care of yourself and be safe. And we'll catch you on the next episode.